Hello everyone, my name is Gregor Horvat and welcome to our new episode of Surfing the Elliott Waves, where I will look at some of the most interesting developments for this week. This video has been brought to you by Orbex. We will cover Euro Dollar, Dollar Mexican Peso, crude oil, silver and the S&P 500. Now Euro Dollar has turned very nicely to the upside last week. Finally it took out these highs from October, so ideally we are in a start of this wave C, which may even rise back to this swing high that we have seen at the start of this summer. So definitely I'm looking for more upside on Euro Dollar. The most important is to look at this 4-hour chart, where I see that price is actually still trading well above this lower trend line support. So technically speaking, the intraday cycles I think remains to the upside. The most important wave count will also be to track on a 1-hour time frame charts. Why? Because here's this trend line that I talked about, and then you have here potentially 5 waves up, right? Followed by only 3 waves decline. I know that this was a very sharp decline, but notice that this latest pullback came down to these support levels. Okay, this was the previous old swing high. This was the retested the first time, market bounced, and then retested once more, and market now again is turning to the upside. Then you have here also this 4th wave. So ideally we will see more upside here. However, I must admit that this current drop is very sharp. Okay, so before we can be confident that market is really back headed back to new highs, I would love to see prices to overlap this 11.62 level. Why? Because if this will happen, then this will definitely be a confirmed completed ABC pullback and not some kind of an bearish impulse. Okay, because if you would label this as a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4 and wave 5, then this wave 4 must not step into the territory of this wave 1, right? So that's why it's very important, if you are looking to the upside, that you gonna see this overlap, okay, because that would probably increase probabilities that we are really headed higher. Now let's take a look on dollar Mexican peso. It's been a while since I looked at this market, but I think it's worth of our attention, because after all, we have been consolidating for a very long time here, for more than 2 years, and now we can finally see that market is trying to break this trend line support. Okay, so ideally we are going to see much more weakness here, especially if we consider that this leg down here in 2017 has been a very strong, ideally an impulse that suggests or that sent market into a very big corrective setback. So this was labeled as a wave A, and since then what market did is just moving sideways. Always when you see a sideways price action and with plenty overlaps within these two contracting trend lines, then you can be confident that this is correction. Okay, and ideally this is wave B correction that is part of this big ABC decline. So ideally we'll see wave C unfolding, and maybe if I'm on the right track, maybe this is now the beginning of this move to lower, okay, after this breakout. However, of course, always when I trade, I will look at smaller time frames for better risk reward setups, and will definitely pay attention more to intraday developments as well. Okay, I just look at the daily to see the perspective in which stages the market is. Are we in early stages of maybe some new cycle, or are we going to complete this cycle? So when I see on a daily chart much more downside potential, I definitely am interested in potential shorts. So what I'm looking at here on the 4-hour chart, actually I will leave one next to each other, actually this chart, because I think it's very important. So what I see here is that market made a very nice and strong move to the downside here, okay, after this parallel trend line has been broken. So it looks like that this was wave 3. If this was wave 3, then you are now in a wave 4. I look at this as a wave 3 because typically wave 3 will be the strongest and most extended wave. So I'm looking now for a wave 3. Ideally wave 3 has bottomed, okay, so if that's the case, then you know you're now in a wave 4. And what I really like about this upcoming wave 4 is that it has a very nice resistance up there around 1915. the first resistance line that we should pay attention on is definitely this trend line, okay, that has been broken. So now imagine that it can be retested and then market see much more weakness, maybe even a very sharp fall. The next resistance that I would pay attention on is this upper, let me draw this beige channel, is this upper channel, okay. So here was the breakout into this wave 3, and now you have a recovery, which in a lot of occasions you will see that wave 4 will actually retrace back to this same trend line where caused this breakout for a wave 3. So ideally this will be a resistance right there, and we see a sell-off. So generally speaking, this whole zone will be very, very interesting for potential more weakness here. So I'm definitely keep an eye on this one. Another market that I want to take a look at is silver, okay. Gold is consolidating, silver as well, still trapped in some consolidation here on the daily chart. But what I like is that silver is doing much better than gold. Gold-silver ratio is moving to the downside, and what I see on silver is actually very exciting. I see an A, B, C potential decline, and notice these 5 subwaves in wave C. Also, what is really nice here is that you have potentially ending diagonal here in play for wave C. Now, even if you are old school classic charting, using classic charting techniques, well, you still will spot potentially a wedge here, and you know that wedge normally indicates that market is either topping or bottoming, and normally it can trigger very sharp moves once market changes the direction. So I'm looking at here as a wave 1, wave 2, you have wave 3, wave 4, and wave 5, and notice that market is now trying to form this breakout above this downward channel. Also, an hourly chart show potentially 5 waves up here, right? So in ideal scenario, we will see this market continuing much higher this week. So the short-term invalidation level is here, definitely at the low. So as long this level from December 09 holds, I think that silver can see more upside. Now let's take a look also on the S&P 500. Now the S&P 500 is at the highs, but I'm tracking 2 different wave counts, 2 different interpretations where we may actually see limited upside. So the first wave count that I'm looking at is actually this one. Notice wave 1, wave 2, extended wave 3, and now we could be maybe dealing with a flat formation or irregular formation for a wave 4. If that's the case, then wave B will see now limited upside at this upper channel resistance line, okay. And also this is still for now only a 3-wave move to a new high, so it makes sense actually to observe and keep in mind the possibility of a more complex wave 4. Well, the next wave count suggests, okay, so this one suggests that we could see very sharp drop into wave C. The next count that I'm tracking is actually different, but also suggests a temporary top here, at least temporary. What I'm looking at here is also the same wave 1, same wave 2, wave 3. This was wave 4, much smaller wave 4 than in the previous count where I presented possibility of a more complex wave 4. And now you have here possibly an ending diagonal or just a wedge, another wedge here for a wave 5. So watch out for this resistance around 32.20. If we see a drop or reversal from there in impulsive fashion, then you will know that this market is ready to make a deeper pullback. Definitely at some stage I will look for a drop back to this zone, right? So stocks, I think, are approaching resistance. I know that they are very bullish, but when it comes to trading, I would probably look at profit taking if I would be long, and regarding shorting, definitely too soon to look for anything here. Okay, I just want to give you the perspective why I think that the S&P 500 could actually come a little bit lower. Now the next market I want to look at, and this will be a final one, is crude oil. Now crude oil is moving to the upside. Let me look at the daily. It's moving to the upside, but notice this overlapping recovery, very slow recovery in this upward channel, okay? And this recovery, as you can see, retraced for now a little more than 61.8%, but still it's much slower compared to previous very strong decline, okay? So ideally this is a corrective rise, and possibly it can be part of this triangle here that I'm tracking for a while now, actually since start of the year. I'm looking for wave A, B, C, D, E. So this is a bearish triangle. The most important thing why I'm looking for this bearish triangle, which means that it may cause much more damage to the crude oil prices next year, is definitely coming from a higher degree chart. Notice here on a weekly scale, we have seen only 3 waves up here into 2018 highs, and then we have seen this very strong and important breakdown below this trend line. Okay, so definitely I want to look for more weakness on a higher degree time frame charts. So that's why I came out with the idea that actually on a daily or 4-hour charts, any rises can be corrective. So I'm looking here for a triangle, just a pose on the way down. Okay, so I'm expecting crude oil actually maybe to fall, but still looking at the 4-hour chart, I don't see any confirmation of a top yet. Okay, but ideally it will be formed in the next couple of days, maybe even weeks. We'll see how long this consolidation will take. But what I see here is A, B, C, then you have wave X, which was a flat, and then another A, B, C. What is also the most important is that you have this 100% equal to this 100%, so it's a second zigzag equal to the first zigzag, and this comes in around $60.60 per barrel. Okay, also you have here on the 1-hour time frame charts, you have 5 waves up, waves 1, 2, 3, 4. Ideally we are in wave 5, so we can be running into some late stages of this recovery. However, from a trading perspective, again, I'm still patiently waiting on a potential bearish impulse. If we'll see strong decline like this on the daily close below the previous 4th wave supports, then definitely I would pay attention to pullbacks and look for potential shorts. Okay, traders, thank you very much for your attention. Hope that you enjoyed this video. See you next week. Bye.